In this video, I'm gonna share with you 15 tips and tricks that pro players use when using the Skyler character. So without wasting any more time, first let's start with tip number 1. The first trick that I'm gonna show you guys is a trick that you can use when an enemy is taking cover behind a glue wall like this. When an enemy is taking cover behind a glue wall like this, throw a grenade near the enemy. Now when the grenade is about to explode, quickly use Skyler's skill and break the enemy's glue wall. When you do this, most of the time the enemy will get caught up with the grenade. Second tip that I'm gonna tell you guys is a trick that you can use to do a surprise attack on the enemy when you're rushing them. When the enemy is taking cover behind a glue wall, most of the time the enemy might think that you'll either rush them from the left side or the right side. But instead of rushing them from the left or right, you can straightly rush your enemy. To do this, use Skyler's skill to break the glue wall and quickly do a surprise attack on the enemy like this. The third tip that I want to give you guys is a trick that you can use when you're cornered behind a glue wall like this. When your enemy tries to rush your glue wall, quickly time and throw a grenade and next use Skyler's skill to break the glue wall and run away. If the enemy doesn't react fast or run away, most of the time he'll get eliminated because of the grenade. You guys can also use a landmine to do this trick if you don't have any grenades. Fourth tip that I want to give you guys is a tip that you can use when you're using Skyler's skill. A mistake that many players do is that they will use Skyler's skill without analyzing the enemy's location. Let's say you use Skyler's skill to break an enemy's glue wall, but when you break the enemy's glue wall, the enemy will quickly go and take cover in the nearest cover that he can find. Now let's say your enemy is in an open field and there's no cover nearby. Now this is a good situation to use Skyler because the enemy won't have any permanent cover to run away when you break his glue wall. So before using Skyler's skill, check whether the enemy has any place to take cover. If he has a permanent cover nearby, I'd recommend you guys to save Skyler's skill until you use it in a more important situation. The fifth tip that I want to give you guys is to not overuse glue walls against Skyler. A mistake that I see a lot of players do is that when they see an enemy, they'll quickly put 2 or 3 glue walls to defend themselves. But guys, Skyler's skill can break up to 5 glue walls within 100 meters. So if you guys put all the glue walls that you have in one place, Skyler can easily break them. And when he breaks them, you won't have more glue walls to defend yourself. So I'd recommend you guys to use one glue wall at a time when going against the Skyler character. The sixth tip that I'm going to tell you guys is a trick that you can use if you have both the Skyler character and the Moko character. As you guys know, when you fire at an enemy when using the Moko character skill, a small tag like this will be displayed on top of your enemy. If the enemy quickly puts a glue wall after you attack them, you will be able to see the enemy's location for some time because of Moko's skill. Next, aim for the enemy's head, break the glue wall with the Skyler character and quickly do a headshot on your enemy. The seventh tip that I want to give you guys is to use Skyler when you're playing unlimited ammo custom rooms. As you guys might know, the Skyler character has a second skill. Skyler's second skill will increase your health when you put glue walls. Since you can use unlimited amount of glue walls in unlimited ammo custom rooms, you won't need to worry about medkits. The 8th tip that I want to tell you guys will help you to increase your accuracy when using Skyler's skill in long distances. To do this, first scope in on the glue wall and use the Skyler's ability. This will help you to accurately use Skyler's skill. 9th tip that I want to tell you guys will help you guys when you don't have glue walls to heal yourself when you're running outside the play zone. As I said earlier, Skyler's second skill will increase your health when you place glue walls. So you guys can place glue walls and increase your health when running outside the play zone. So guys, now let's move on to tip number 10. Let's say you're taking cover behind a glue wall, but on the other side an enemy is firing at your glue wall. When you're in such a situation, wait until the enemy's magazine runs out of ammo. When the enemy has to reload, you can quickly attack the enemy. So as soon as you hear the gun stop, you can quickly use Skyler's skill and attack the enemy. So guys, now let's move on to tip number 11. I think some of you guys might have gone through a situation where the enemy tries to block you with glue walls so that you get eliminated outside the play zone. When an enemy tries to do this, you can use Skyler's skill to easily break glue walls and come inside the play zone. The 12th tip that I want to tell you guys is a mistake that I see players do when they are playing with their squad. The mistake that they do is that they all use Skyler's skill at once to break a single glue wall. If the enemy places another glue wall, everyone in your squad will have to wait until Skyler's skill to refresh. So instead of doing that, you guys can talk with each other and decide who's gonna use Skyler's skill first. The 13th tip that I want to tell you guys is very similar to tip number 12. The 13th tip is not to use Skyler's skill at once. Let's say your enemy has 3 walls. If you use Skyler's skill to break the enemy's first glue wall at once, the enemy will place another glue wall. Now you will have to wait until Skyler's skill to refresh. So instead of doing that, you can break the enemy's first 2 glue walls with a gun, and at last you can use Skyler's skill to break the enemy's last glue wall. When the enemy has no glue walls to take cover, it will be easy for you to defeat your enemy. 14th tip that I want to tell you guys is to not use Skyler's full costume in matches. If an enemy sees that you're using Skyler, it will be hard for you to do any surprise attacks on your enemy. So I recommend you guys not to use Skyler's full costume when playing matches. 15th tip that I want to tell you guys is a trick that you guys can use when you're fighting inside the water. The 15th tip is to break glue walls when you're underwater. The Skyler skill can also be used underwater to break enemy glue walls. If you guys want to learn tips and tricks on the Wukong character, check out this video. In here, I talk about 15 tips and tricks that you guys can use when using the Wukong character.